Hey everybody, my name is Emily Green and I'm an EMDR trained psychotherapist here in Central Florida. So far, you've learned a lot of concepts that are talking about stress, how you can start to recognize it in your own life, and ways that you can better adapt during these times of heightened anxiety and fear. So today we're going to just knit together these concepts so you have a firmer foundation and a better grasp on the topics that you've learned to see how they all fit together to support you during this time. So far we're really focusing on your window of tolerance. Your window of tolerance is that space when you're able to be within, you're able to function, you're able to do what needs to be done, you can experience stress, but you're able to still kind of handle life. So those are signs that your system is regulated. What system am I talking about? I'm talking about your central nervous system. Every single one of us has this innate intelligence in the body to respond to stress. Your central nervous system, we've talked about it, as two sides of the same coin. On one side, you have your sympathetic, which stands for that nickname a lot of us know, your fight, flight, or freeze response. So it's that stress response. On the other side, you have your parasympathetic, and that side's nickname is rest and digest. So you can see how these two sides of the same coin work together to help equip you to be able to respond to a threat or stress and then come back down within your window of tolerance. One of the words that you can kind of keep tabs on is regulated and dysregulated. You're regulated when you're inside that window and you're able to function, and you're dysregulated when you're outside of that window. You've learned that you can be dysregulated in two kind of forms or ways of kind of labeling or categorizing that experience. Dysregulation is another way of keeping track of what we call arousal states. So where are you on that spectrum? Are you outside up, which we would call hyperarousal, or are you down dysregulated in your arousal state, which we would call hypoarousal? What do those things look like? Well, here are some examples. If someone was hyper aroused and they're outside of their window of tolerance, they might be noticing a lot of anxiety, all or nothing thinking, a lot of tension. They could be noticing rage, violence, or also just being hyper vigilant. I'm sure a lot of us are experiencing that one right now when we're super focused on any maybe kind of news resources, latest updates. Those are all manifestations of that hyper arousal state. Another way you can think of it, it's kind of like emotions on steroids, or your experiences on steroids, because everybody can be anxious but still be within their window of tolerance. But if your anxiety levels are taking you outside, those can be in the form of panic attacks, or again, just those other extreme versions of emotions, or also just your thoughts, your body sensations, and things like that. Those are all kind of material you can think of to keep track. For some people, you're going to be able to notice your thoughts are more easy to track, where maybe for others it is that emotional experience, or for others it's that body experience for them. So think like tension in the body or fatigue in the body. And for others it's going to be behavior driven, so those impulses. So if you're biting, someone's head off, if your anger is like bursting out and you're taking it out on everyone around you, those would be examples of behaviors in a hyperarousal state. So again, this is just information for you to keep track of how you're doing in response to stress. So we have hyperarousal, hypoarousal. Well, what are those things going to look like? If you're experiencing stress and your body's responding to the dysregulated state in this arousal zone, you're going to see things that are really different from someone who's upper. So you're going to see those lower kind of quadrant things. You can think of that as more of a depressed, despair, hopelessness, almost like a paralyzed, I don't know what to do, can't get out of bed. Those kind of experiences are in that hypoarousal zone. So the central nervous system, it's there to regulate experiences. as you start to notice your experience in this time, you can track these things. You can track your, what we can call symptoms, or your experience of emotions, thoughts, behaviors, body sensations, and track them and see where you are. Where are you in your window of tolerance? Are you outside of it, in the upper, outside below, or are you somewhere kind of tracking up higher and you want to come back down more to the middle range? These are just really helpful ideas or tools that you can use to better regulate your mental health during this time. I think when we understand that we have an innate intelligence to respond to stress, we can then be more confident in our ability to engage in it in a helpful way to help create more regulation in your central nervous system. It is a felt experience, so the more you practice noticing, the more you're going to be able to notice and be more inclined to really try out some of those coping strategies that you've always done to regulate your nervous system. So I hope this was helpful. Again, this is just an overview of the things that we've learned so you can knit them together to have a firmer foundation over the concepts of your central nervous system, the stress response, how you can use your window of tolerance, and then also tracking your arousal states within hyper or hypoarousal states. Thanks so much.